Exclusive! Ewan McGregor signs on for Obi-Wan Kenobi return. How's it going, everybody? This is Phil. This news today is pretty hot and heavy. It's about the constant rumors surrounding the Obi-Wan Kenobi project, or whether or not it was going to be a feature-length movie or now showing up as a television show or a series on Disney Plus, their streaming service, and whether or not Ewan McGregor was going to sign on to reprise his role. There's been swirling rumors whether or not we were going to get some form of a sequel of the Solo, a Star Wars story movie that was going to somehow get woven into this. There's been a lot of things that are kind of swirled around this project, and here we see today over on Cinelinx.com. There's been several other sources that have reported on this, and most of them link back to this website for the article, which is the initial source of it, as it seems to be. They are reporting that Ewan McGregor has in fact signed on, and they're looking at a possible D23 Expo proclamation of Ewan McGregor being on board, signing his contract to appear and reprise his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi in an upcoming series for the Disney Plus streaming service. So let's read through this article really quickly. Again, it's on Cinelinx.com. The author here is Jordan Mason. So it says, after rumors, a lot of rumors, and high hopes, it looks like the Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars project has taken a big step forward. Come in for our report. So let's do that, shall we? So the article goes on to say that today's report won't likely come as a surprise to many people, but it is nice to hear. Rumors of an Obi-Wan Kenobi related project have been circulating since Disney bought Lucasfilm back in 2013. While it seemed to have started life as a standalone film, recent reports are that we'll see Obi-Wan come back as a Disney Plus series, which is what I've heard as well. So yeah, that's things seem to be going all fine and dandy. Just a year ago, Disney had a whole slate of films that they were going to be rolling out. They were looking to try to do the Marvel model for their Star Wars projects, and at least release a movie a year. Started out with The Force Awakens, you went right into Rogue One, then then you had The Last Jedi, and right from that into Solo. And Solo lost money; it bombed. The first Star Wars movie to really lose money at the box office, and that sent everybody into a complete tailspin, and it pulled the plug on a multitude of projects that were rumored to be in the pipeline. And one of those, unfortunately, was an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie with Ewan McGregor reprising his role. So these movies were then kind of in limbo, at least as far as what the public was led to believe what was going on with them. The Boba Fett movie was scrapped, and now we have The Mandalorian coming on Disney Plus. And it looks like, according to this article, Ewan McGregor is going to be back, and he'll be reprising his role on Disney Plus for a series there as well. So it says, so what's new? According to two separate sources, I've heard that Ewan McGregor has actually put pen to paper and inked a contract to return as the iconic Jedi Master. I love that news. That to me, that's great. This is what I want to see. This is the right choice. If you're going to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi live-action show or a movie, this is what you want. You want Ewan McGregor back in that role right now, as he is the right age. I believe he's 48 years old at this point, something around there. So it makes sense that you would do a show or a movie in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and you have him right now at the right age. You don't have to do any kind of makeup or digital de-aging or anything like that. I mean, it just makes sense. Strike while the iron is hot. heard word of this recently, but I was sitting on it until, out of the blue, a second source reached out to me. I hadn't gone digging on this one, saying the exact same thing. So apparently he's two of his sources have indicated this, and that's enough to set the internet on fire with speculation that this is damn near a sure thing. Again, this shouldn't come as a surprise considering how open McGregor has been in his desire to return to the Star Wars franchise. What's interesting to me, however, is the timing. While development on the Obi-Wan project has been in early stages since the beginning of this year, according to Star Wars News Net, locking in a contract means they're really moving forward on it. And, that would lead you to believe that would be the case. If you own the rights to Star Wars and you're signing Ewan McGregor to a contract, one would hope you are signing him for a contract to reprise his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, it just, how many more Christopher Robin movies could you possibly be making with this guy? Well, look, that's where we're at with this as far as the Obi-Wan Kenobi project is concerned. It looks like it's going to be a series, a live-action series on Disney Plus. And, look, I've always been a proponent of having Ewan McGregor return to this role. I think there's stories that can be told that can be really great, that can be a lot of fun, that can be compelling, that take place in between episode 3 and episode 4, with him not just residing on Tatooine, but maybe getting pulled in to some type of a conflict or having to go on another mission or an adventure elsewhere. And look, even on Tatooine, we can see a younger Obi-Wan Kenobi have run-ins with Jabba the Hutt. Let's get Jabba's palace back on screen, and let's have it, an authentic Jabba's palace, not filled with all CGI, but let's go back to the roots of the original trilogy, and let's get some actual puppeteers, animatronics. People say, well, it's a cheap party trick, but you know what? That's where I come from. That's the Star Wars that I grew up on was organic. It felt real. The fog was real. It wasn't some kind of a plug-in or a simulation in a 3D program. It was actually there on set. The characters were there on set. Now, if The Mandalorian is any indication of what can be done in capable hands on Disney's streaming service, with Jon Favreau coming in and actually shooting physical models like they used to do back in the day, and going to lengths to kind of tie some of his story, just bringing elements from the original trilogy, and making it feel like it belongs in that Star Wars universe, and respecting the source material, and really taking care, digging deep down into his childhood, his memories, and then taking everything he's learned in his craft and applying it towards a passion project, a Star Wars passion project that he takes very seriously, and wants to have it sit proudly alongside of everything that he grew up loving and knowing about that original trilogy, and what he felt made this Star Wars universe so great and so awe-inspiring. If we can get somebody on board to take this project and kind of give it that same care, that same treatment, then I am all for it. I'm not gonna, if you're gonna come here, you're not gonna get me bashing this on the potential of it. Now, could it suck? Could it totally be a piece of shit? Absolutely. Disney has earned not the benefit of the doubt, but doubt, and it could, for all intents and purposes, be an abject failure. But you gotta hope that, Kathleen Kennedy announced Jon Favreau was the guy who was coming in for The Mandalorian, so that show could succeed despite her. And then she also signed Benioff and Weiss, and it looked great at the time, but after the way that Game of Thrones ended, it just feels like it's another desperate situation that can be a complete disaster. So we don't know what to expect from that. But if they could bring some people in here, let's get George Lucas back into the fray. Let's bring in Dave Filoni, two guys that have worked with this character in the Clone Wars. Bring them back. Have them involved in this project in some capacity. I mean, George, the guy can pick and choose essentially if he wants to do anything at this point. But if he's inspired by seeing this character realized on the screen again with Ewan McGregor back in the lead role, then by all means, let him come in and give the character beats that only the guy who created this character could really give you the insight to, and let Dave Filoni come in and direct some episodes. He seems to be transitioning into live action, so why not have him play a real big part in the development of this show if he's going to kind of move on to other things outside of The Mandalorian. I'm all for that. I'd like to see this project be a success. As a fan of Star Wars, I don't want to see it be a failure just so I can say, I told you so, Disney, you suck. you know, I mean, and if they do, if it is a failure, I will get on here and I will say, it sucks. It's garbage. It's a piece of shit. But for right now, I'm hoping that it's not. So if this news is true and Ewan is back, and the D23 Expo is going to be August 23rd, so we'll see what happens when that arrives. And look, I'm anxiously awaiting confirmation for this from a solid source, from Disney themselves. And once we have confirmation of Ewan McGregor, from there we have to move on and see who's going to be the showrunner, who's going to be directing episodes, who's going to be writing, what is their resume? Is it going to be a talent that we know and trust or have some form of faith in? That all remains to be seen. But if this is the first step here, well, as far as I'm concerned, it's a step in the right direction. So look, if I know a lot of people are like, look, just leave him alone. Leave Obi-Wan Kenobi alone. And I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think he has one of the best stories in the whole entire saga, and I find him to be a bit of a tragic character himself. He kind of got swept up in the whole Skywalker saga, and he was just a good soldier through it all. He made some mistakes along the way, sure, but he was always a reliable, competent Jedi who tried to do the right thing. And it seems that just Anakin was destined to fall from grace, and poor Obi-Wan has to live with that for the rest of his days. I always found it interesting just thinking how he had to process everything that happened after Revenge of the Sith, and then finally meeting up with Luke Skywalker and maybe seeing his redemption in young Luke, and training him and setting him on his path, and trying to right the wrongs or his failings from his early years as a Jedi Knight. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this. And while I am excited to see Ewan McGregor back in the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi, look, I'm also very cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic just because Disney's track record has been hit or miss, and I by all means, I don't want to see any kind of nonsense involved with this, any kind of weird agendas or political statements or anything like that. Whatever the current hot trend is as far as trying to squeeze things in to your story, just tell a good Star Wars story. Create something that makes the people say, hey, you know what? They did something good, and I was wrong. Okay, produce something of quality and let people actually be happy to be wrong about this being something that's good, instead of being gleeful and saying, I told you so, if this project ends up being a complete piece of shit. So, anyway, guys, let me know what you think down below. Please like and comment. If first time here, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys sometime soon. Until then, be happy, be safe, be healthy. Have a good night. Bye-bye.